So in 2014, Sir Alex Ferguson labeled him as the best English footballer that year. Pep Guardiola once said he's one of the best holding midfielders he has seen in his entire career as manager. Paul Scholes, for him, he labeled him as a Rolls Royce. Now, I've never sat in one, but what I know, a Rolls Royce is known for class. Gary Neville once said that watching Micheal Carrick play is like listening to a piano. How sweet. I think, is that soothing? I think when I listen to a piano, it's soothing. That should be the feeling. Paul Pogba, while at United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Carrick as assistant, once said he helped him a lot during his one-on-one sessions. So did Fred, who said for him, he touched him in their one-on-one sessions more so on his calmness on the pitch. That is Micheal Carrick. Manchester United has got a potential manager in the future, right now working wonders at Middlesbrough. After just 4 months in charge of Middlesbrough, he took them from 22nd to third, almost at the brink of coming into the Premier League. Playing football that perhaps to many it was one of the most exciting in Europe. As we do look at the future of Manchester United and talks of the sacking of Erik Ten Hag, I've been thinking critically, and of course, there are now names coming out being thrown around left, right, and center. True or not, if rumors start with Manchester United, you've got to pay attention to them. So the Graham Potter one for me has hit me far, and I'm thinking, how on earth is Sir Jim Ratcliffe even thinking about this if he's coming in? Yet we've got legends. United now is at a situation where perhaps for me, a legend would do. And why Micheal Carrick for me is that legend. If we are going to go past Ten Hag, why Micheal Carrick is the one is because Micheal Carrick has always been a technical player. Remember how he joined Manchester United in 2000 and he joined in 2006. I remember Jose Mourinho had joined Chelsea in 2004 and he immediately won back-to-back Premier League titles. In the 2006 transfer window, in the summer 2006, Sir Alex Ferguson made one marquee signing. He went to Tottenham Hotspur and signed Micheal Carrick for 14 million pounds. In fact, I remember that signing was a bit controversial. It sort of, took a while because Sir Alex Ferguson seriously wanted him, and you know how Daniel Levy is. And Martin Yol, who was the coach of Spurs at that time, did not want to lose his best player from the previous season. But Sir Alex Ferguson just went for Micheal Carrick. Do you know what happened after that when he signed Carrick? United won 3 back-to-back Premier League titles. He is one who spent 12 years at United, always a starter, starting mostly as a central midfielder, but also could play as a centre back because I remember Ferguson himself, even David Moyes, all played him as a centre back before. I think even Van Gaal as a backup centre back. Carrick was known for his composure, calmness, and passing. He organized the game. He was to Manchester United what Xabi Alonso was to all the teams he played for. He was the brain, the thinker in the team. Class, organizing, and maintaining calmness. That was Micheal Carrick. That takes special players with brains, and players who have been like that have always turned out to be great football managers. And to talk about his character, Paul Scholes, players who played with him, I'm one of those who think one of the reasons why that golden generation of England that had Michael Carrick, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Michael Owen, name them. One of the reasons they didn't perform is because their coaches always failed to find the right way of making use of Michael Carrick and all the other great midfielders they had. Coaches were always fascinated. They couldn't make a decision on whether to bench Paul Scholes or Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard. So they wanted to find ways of playing all of them, and they kept benching Carrick. Yet Carrick was the one player who could open them up. Carrick was to United what I see Kobe Maino is to us. He is the player who organizes us and makes everyone look good, gives everyone comfort and calmness, and so that's exactly the kind of player he was. That's a genius of a player. I was listening to his interviews, and there was when he joined Middlesbrough, his approach to football for me speaks to the Manchester United culture that Sir Alex Ferguson built. The, he says for him his style is not about exactly about formations and all. For him, it's about proactiveness, passion, principle based. His approach to football is principle based. It is enthusiasm, proactiveness, and passion. That's what he wants to see. And that's exactly what I told you in my previous video. where I told you the characteristics of a Manchester United player. You've got to be passionate. So any manager who is going to look for players who have got passion knows what the DNA of Manchester United is. So for me, when we start talking about managers, and if you look around, there are not so many great managers. We have tried all of them and they have failed anyway. Michael Carrick has got, again, like I say, he has got touches of everything you see in Jabi Alonso, I see in Michael Carrick, because he has also been coached by so many coaches, about 8 different coaches at the topmost level, different characters, from the likes of, he had Martin Yule coached him, Roy Hodgson, I think was his first coach at West Ham. West Ham. Then he had Martin Yule. Then he had coaches like David Moyes. He was coached as graduated by Sir Alex Ferguson. He was coached by Capello, Steven Goran Eriksson. He was coached by Louis van Gaal. In fact, he said Van Gaal had a lot of impact on his tactical approach, understanding of the game. Sir Alex Ferguson had a lot of impact on his how he managed players. So you can imagine. Then Jose Mourinho as well. He spoke about him in terms of how he had much impact on him and shaped the way he would relate with his players, because everyone talks about Mourinho and how he manages to relate with his players and get them to fight for him, to die for him. So we are talking a manager. Roy Hodgson is known, as a parent. He's a parental figure. So we are talking of a manager who has worked through all characters of managers. That is Michael Carrick. He's only 42, and United going into a transition. This guy worked wonders with most of these kids, the Kobe Mainos. These are kids he worked with Mason Greenwood under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Mason Greenwood, Kobe Maino, all the young kids we have now. I think even Ganacho, all the young kids we are looking at for the future of United are kids that Michael Carrick certainly had an impact on, was there, seeing and observing their growth. So for me, this is the perfect guy. If we are going to look past Erik Ten Hag, when that time comes, for me, we want to go back to a legend, a respected guy. Michael Carrick is one of the most decorated English footballers of all time. So whichever you look about it, he was just that classy, silent player, a silent assassin, never noisy. And Sir Alex Ferguson, interestingly, observed the importance of that Michael Carrick position years ago before people appreciated it. When everyone was looking up at all the other fancy players, no one was seeing Carrick, but Carrick formed the linchpin on which Manchester United won 3 back-to-back Premier League titles, after beating a Chelsea, that Jose Mourinho Chelsea that he had built with the John Terrys, the prime of Chelsea, the best Chelsea we've seen. He won the Champions League final against Chelsea, 2008. Was in the final again with Barcelona. That one we lost. He said that was the worst football experience in his life. So he has been through it. That for me should be the next manager of Manchester United, because he has been made, he has been built, he knows the club, he knows the culture, the identity, he's respected, but also he has got the character to manage the young players of this generation. Michael Carrick for me is the man post Erik Ten Hag.